And action! Hey, it's DrRic. 16vastraturbo had a question about whether an old exercise routine that I posted way back like 8 years ago would develop muscle mass. And that's a good question because today I posted that I only had 15 minutes to work out to get a pump. And that was all I could do. But you know what? I think because of I hadn't exercised in a day, and for those of you who don't exercise, that might not seem like a big idea or a big deal. But when you have fibromyalgia, when you have any kind of medical disease and you avoid medicines for a day or two, sometimes you'll feel the effects of the disease coming back. So I don't like taking prescription medicines. I like using more natural means like food and rest and calming practice and exercise. I think exercise should be the first thing that anyone prescribes doctor-wise to a patient to make changes to disease. Next should be food. So unfortunately, our training as doctors in residency and medical school does not include exercise for the majority of schools, and only is about a week, I believe, of nutrition altogether, 4 years. So this I did on my own. I've shown this picture before. This is when I won the Natural East Coast Bodybuilding Championship, and it has helped to, it was fun back then, it was college years. Muscle responsiveness in my late teens and early 20s was fantastic. But unfortunately at 55, going on 56, muscle responsiveness is a little bit harder to engage. I think it's still doable, so any of my 50 to 60 year olds, I think it's still doable. You just have to be careful that you don't injure yourself and that you don't flare up your disease process, because sometimes getting into a new lifestyle change can actually flare up disease a little bit, especially fibro or a heart problem. So get clearance by your doctor first. But I think ultimately, if the muscles, if the body, if the digestive system, if the neurological system is given the building blocks to heal and given the impetus to heal, that means exercise, then it will actually heal and do what it has to do. I feel pretty decent now. I don't know if I feel as good as I did when I was in my 20s, but I think that the muscle responsiveness, to get back to the question, muscle responsiveness, hey listen, if I can get to the point, I don't know if I can get to the point of being big like I was back in my teens, but I still have an option to exercise instead of taking medicines or having surgery. So for fibromyalgia, I'm supposed to be on gabapentin, Cymbalta, anti-inflammatories, and muscle relaxers. No, I'm not going to. I might need that eventually, but as long as I can keep up what I'm doing now, better off. For atrial fibrillation, I'm supposed to be on blood thinners, and I should have had a surgery to zap or destroy the conductive tissue of the atrium. Then no, I beat it with Chinese medicine, acupuncture, calming practice, stopping caffeine, stopping alcohol. So eating healthy, meditation, all these things I think are important. So as far as the question of will I get big, I think I won't. I guess it depends on what your question is of big, or what your idea of big is, but I think that muscles can turn on. I gave myself a gift for my 56th birthday to try to get as close to this as possible, and I'm kind of getting there. So who would have thought that at 55, 56 you can stimulate muscle like that? Because technically, according to most literature, your testosterone level is supposed to fall, your responsiveness to muscle is supposed to be decreased, and your arthritis or your joint pain is supposed to limit you from doing anything further. And then your disease process, atrial fibrillation, fibromyalgia, will prevent you from getting to the point where you can get either medicine-free or suffer-free, if there's a word, suffer-free. So disease-free, let's call it that. So again, getting back to the question, yes, a short exercise routine. This was like a 15 to 30 minute routine with a lot of weights, and just looking at what my form was back then, I probably have improved my form because of my knowledge of sports medicine So I'm critiquing myself now, saying that's nasty form. And I think I've also got a little more strict with my movement, probably because if I don't and start slinging a lot of weight, I can injure myself. Old rotator cuff. Oh, I also have a rotator cuff tear with an MRI about 10 years ago that showed separation of muscle tissue. And I was also supposed to have surgery for that. Before my friend Tony Romeo moved away to New York, he was going to do my surgery. He works for a Rush cop. He works for Rush downtown, a White Sox shoulder guy. But I waited. I worked with my rehab person, and I suffered. I guess if you have a rotator cuff tear and your surgeon says you have to have surgery, you might want to listen to that surgeon. But I have full range of motion with no problems with overhead press at this point in time, complete tear. I'm interested to see if my friends can re-MRI my shoulder just to see how it looks now, but no problems. So I think that's the beauty of eating healthy, exercising, getting good sleep, and living a pretty clean life. Listen, the more crap you put into your body, the less it's going to respond, the worse it will be, the more inflammation will come up. The less activity you do, couch potato, don't want to do exercise, you want to have exercise done to you, and that's another thing. Physical therapy is to empower you to do your own thing. It's not to do the exercises for you. And certainly if you're having a problem with post-op surgery and or pain, the passive movement of a physical therapist on a joint is to help with range of motion, but you are supposed to, if I write a script for physical therapy or a personal trainer, athletic trainer, exercise physiologist, you are supposed to take over eventually and do your own thing. If you're going to say that physical therapy didn't work because you're still in pain, well, how long do you expect the physical therapist and insurance to pay for your visits? Usually a good physical therapist will inspire you to do your own thing. And if you hit the wall because you're just suffering too much, then fine. But again, going back to exercise, going back to healing medical disease, trigger point spasm, I think there's ways out. So I say yes, short exercise, even a 15-minute burst will get you some muscle swelling and a pumped feeling. As far as just doing that, no, the only reason I can jump and dive into a 15-minute pump is because I'm maintaining a level of fitness. The only reason I can get a pump out of 15 and turn my muscles on to respond is because I've nurtured them over the last couple of months to be at a heightened level and immediately respond. If you're going from couch to a 15-minute exercise, no, you're not going to get a muscle pump, you're not going to get any fullness, you're not going to get the sensation of being swollen, you're going to get hurt. So in a nutshell, if you maintain exercise, if you kind of just carry it along, then the muscle can respond immediately and you don't have to do a 2-hour workout. So hopefully this helps. For those of you who are trying to start an exercise routine, put your comments down below. I'll try to answer them for you, or at least give you my 2 cents and maybe a connection for somebody around you that might be able to help you. I really appreciate you watching. Otherwise, I'll see you in the clinic.